Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. It is the day after HyperForce. You know what that means. It's coffee time. It's coffee time, and let's chat about HyperForce. Episode 4 was last night. Ran a little bit late. Warm enough that I can drink. Not cold enough I have to put it back in the microwave. Oh, because I microwave my coffee all day. HyperForce episode 4 was last night. Ran about 15 minutes late than normal because they had some terrible rolls. So let's just see, what are we going to talk about? We have a little bit of housekeeping that they had. We had a guest star, Karen Ashley, was on, and we have the basic plot and what happened. And we also had a question that I posed myself. Are you still hyped for HyperForce? That's what I want to know. We're 4 episodes in. Are you still hyped for HyperForce like you were maybe before it started? So, just point number 1. The housekeeping. Guys, we apparently broke the meta game of all of it the last game because we were giving them way too much energy. The system could not keep up with the amount of energy that we were giving them, so they ended up, they had to change it up a little bit. You still give energy, but I think it's going to be some like percentage of all of it that we give them. They get a bit more of it because we were just overloading them, which is a good thing, which means all these people that are watching are participating and are playing along. So, good for you. I mean, I don't know what they were expecting crowds to be or participation to be like, but I think so far we have blown away their expectations, and that's fantastic. Speaking of systems, thank you to everybody who's been donating or giving tips to HyperRPG because, man, they need it. I swear somebody's put a curse on some of their dies. They're really bad. They had some really crappy rolls this week. Thing number 2. Peter Sudarso is going to be doing a show on HyperRPG's Twitter called Destroying Sudarso's Legacy or something like that. Where basically Peter Sudarso is going to be playing Legacy Wars on stream. He's going to be putting the codes out if you want to fight against him. And he's going to be battling people 1v1 in Legacy Wars. And they're giving away a bunch of character codes. I think they said last week they gave away like 50 items. So, if you want to get in on it, if you're a Legacy Wars player and you want to maybe get some free stuff, or you just want to watch other people play and interact with them, I mean, the chat was going great. They were answering a ton of questions. If you had any questions for them between games while things were getting set up, it was absolutely fantastic. Just kind of ask me anything while playing games. Really recommend it. That's going to be Fridays on HyperRPG, so take a look. I think it's, I want to say it's about 3 p.m. my time. Again, I'm central, so adjust as needed, but I think it was about 3 to 5, 3 to 4, something like that, and you can go against Peter and get yourself maybe some free items. Woohoo! Okay, number 2. Number 2 is going to be the guest star, Karen Ashley. I will admit it. I was the first one when I saw that she was going to be the guest star. I was like, I'm sorry, my nose is super itchy today. Are you talking about me? I didn't know what to think. I've seen her in things. I've seen her do, interviews or whatever, but I didn't know. I guess kind of like with any guest star they have. How are they going to react to using more of the imagination, using a roll, using your dice to decide whether or not you can do a kick or not? I have to say, I was so happily surprised with how awesome she did. She really did. She played along with everything. And look, if she didn't know what she was doing, she either faked it really good or she did research to know more about how to play this system. So either it was her or it was a team of people prepping her. Either way, thank you so much, because it was great having another member in there that just kind of went straight into it. Like, she was a ranger. She knew what she was doing. I had a really great time, and hearing her, talking to Zordon again, and oh man, at one point Marv's like, I'll ship it, because Jack and Aisha, come on, no! It was almost as sad as Jen and Wes, not Alex. Well, Alex, regardless. It was pretty sweet, and I almost wish she comes back just for that. So this was the second time we've had a guest in 4 episodes, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with having one every other episode or so. It gives us enough time to really focus on the core characters, but also help breaking it up to something new, something different, something fun. I overall miss Karen Ashley. If you were watching this for some reason, first off, I'm sorry. Second off, you did fantastic. Thank you so much for playing along. Thank you so much for having fun with it. And I'm kind of excited for the next guest, if they have one. At one point, they're in the danger, was it the pocket dimension? So they're in there, and she's training with Jack. And, they're all doing, some of the other ones, you have Chloe bouncing off rainbows, and Marv just raw, and Aisha's like, we're going to do this old school. Jack's going to pick me up from behind and just swing me around like a merry-go-round. She started kicking buddies. That brought me more joy than it probably should have, because it just reminded me of Power Rangers Season 3, it was kind of kooky, and kind of kooky. I mean, they had to have so much American footage, they had to have so much of their own fight scenes. You see these moves that would never work in real life, but they did in HyperForce, so thank you for bringing us that little bit of joy, and we super appreciate it. Also, I guess, you know what, nah, that's about it, because we gotta keep this brief. We're already at like 6.5 minutes, right? Okay, let's see, as far as the plot goes, they're still in Angel Grove at the end of it. Now, I get it, and if they weren't still in Angel Grove, we wouldn't have had the awesome things with Zordon, we wouldn't have had Karen Ashley, we wouldn't have had some of the really awesome things, but as far as the plot goes this week, I gotta be honest, it started off really slow. It started off slow enough that I was kind of like, okay, I was doing some research for the Ranger Week in Review, and it didn't hook me. And almost until the Zordon message popped up, and once they came in contact with Aisha, that's when it really picked up. So less of this little girl, Diana, and I get a character side, whatever, I just, not a fan. So, I will say, though, that the ending in the last, I mean, it was slow for the first maybe even 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I was just not getting into it. But I gotta tell you, once it started picking up, it was just as fantastic as all the rest of them. You can tell it's episode 4. They have characteristics. They have things about the characters that are already starting to build on. They have relationships they're starting to build on. It's really fun to see. So I guess, I was saying it's going to bring into that hype for HyperForce. Karen Ashley had help. They ended up in Rome in the Colosseum fighting a giant gladiator. And if that isn't crazy enough, they don't have a Megazord. They just have the Saber-Tooth Tiger Griffin Thunderzord power, which you would get if you watch it Tuesday. Oh, random thing. If you didn't watch this episode and you would like to, they do post them Tuesday mornings. So, if you are lucky enough to have enough time, you can watch it Tuesday morning and be completely caught up for episode 5. So, if you don't really know what I'm talking about and you want to watch the whole episode, check out HyperRPG's YouTube channel. They will post the episode on Tuesday morning, get you all caught up by Tuesday night, so you can be hyped for HyperForce. The Rangers work with Aisha. They were in the catacombs for a while. They ran into Finster. That, I think, was one of the more unique things. They battled for Finster. They were trying to bring him over to their side. So I guess maybe I should bring up, are you hyped for HyperForce still? And I am. I'm still very hyped for HyperForce. But I'll tell you, I'm not hyped for HyperForce the way I was 4 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago, I was super hyped for HyperForce because there should be a running count of hype for HyperForce. Should be like H4H or something. Anyway, I was really excited because I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if I would like the system. I didn't know if I would like the characters. I didn't know if I would like the story. I mean, there's just so many unknowns. And I think as a Ranger fan, you always have the hope that the next season's going to be really good. And I'm going to use this is a motto from another group that I'm in, but it's the hope that kills you. I think as Ranger fans, we can all understand that. It's the hope that kills you. So I was hopeful that it was going to be a good series. By episode 2, I was hyped because I really enjoyed episode 1, and I want to know where it goes. Episode 3, really excited because, oh man, they're in Angel Grove. Episode 4, sweet, they're in Angel Grove. They had a ranger with them. They ran into Zordon. I'm hyped now because I understand the story. I understand the characters. I understand the system. I understand what they're going for. They're doing a great job. Absolutely. They're doing a great job. I'm loving it. It's fast-paced enough. They get to use their personalities for how to defeat things. But at the end of the day, it's a Power Ranger episode. And it's structured enough to where there's definitely beginning, build up, climax, and the end for a resolution. And it makes you feel good. It's a giant 3-hour-long Power Ranger episode that you can help with, and you can talk with other friends while you watch it. So it's a blast. Vesper did get some intel on the Saber-Toothed Tiger Griffin Thunderzord. So it is a hint that they might be able to get Zords of their own, because now they have a bit more of the technology and know-how. They get Zords, that's great, but I will tell you this, really hoping they get out of Angel Grove soon. I really am. While it was hilarious hearing some of the puns about how did you become a ranger, and I was just like, well, conveniently, 3 of the former rangers went to a peace conference, and they were like, all 3 of them went at once? What are the odds? And she was like, well, I just so happen to be in town for a ninja tournament with my friends from Stone Canyon. I really recommend, if you aren't, if you don't want to watch the whole thing, fast forward until whenever Aisha gets introduced, because there's some really great lines in it. And yeah, so I'm still hyped for HyperForce. That was your basic plot, housekeeping, and guest stars. So I guess that could be about it for today's episode. I still have a lot of coffee left. It's rapidly getting cold. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And if you want to know more about anything that's happening in the Ranger world, don't forget, follow me on my Twitter, at GoKaiRanger, or at RangerWIReview. I will say the Ranger Weekend Review one, I tweet a lot less from. It's usually mostly just news or happenings. The other one, GoKaiRanger, is my daily life. So, alright guys, thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Ranger Liz. Have a fantastic week, Ranger Nation, and I will see you Friday for the Ranger Weekend Review, if not before. Okay, bye.